My guests this morning here on Jersey Magazine are from the Ridge Baseball Club in Basking Ridge. Dennis Wilson is the secretary and Kevin Larner is the president. Dennis, Kevin, good morning and welcome.
Morning, Jim. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, good morning.
Kevin, give us a little history of baseball in Basking Ridge.
Yeah, so I've been trying to actually learn a lot of this history myself over the past months because, it goes back, 60, 70 years. But my understanding is that Basking Ridge Little League was formed in the 1950s and ran a Little League in Basking Ridge for the kids of Basking Ridge for many years. At some point in the 1970s, it's my understanding, the Little League and the town agreed to an arrangement where the Little League would operate the baseball complex on Valley Road and pursuant to a lease agreement. And that continued for many years. In 2004, as times were changing, the Little League approached the township requesting to put in lights because there was a demand for night baseball. After a lot of negotiations, the town approved that. And since 2004, we have been operating at that complex with the lights. About 10 years ago, Basking Ridge Little League made a decision to change from Little League affiliation to Babe Ruth League baseball affiliation. And for those who maybe don't know what Babe Ruth League is, it's a competing organization that provides many of the same services that Little League does. But when you win, you don't go to Williamsport. It's a different tournament trail. So we're affiliated with Babe Ruth League, not Little League now. But for the listeners, they can think of us as the local Little League, essentially, lowercase L, not uppercase L, for Basking Ridge.
As I was telling you both before we came on the air, I actually played 2 years of Babe Ruth baseball in Basking Ridge. We had moved up from Pennsylvania at about that point in time. So ninth and 10th grades are when I played, and we just had one field, and that was on Memorial Field right off of Maple Avenue. And I think the other field that we used was over at Burnsville High School field. So the fields have changed a lot, and I think for the better. I've coached at the complex that you're referring to here, and it is absolutely beautiful.
Well, appreciate that. It is really our pride and joy, and we put a lot of time and energy into maintaining the 4 baseball fields there. And I think it's important to recognize that we fully fund through membership dues, donations, and sponsorships all of the operations at those fields. There's no taxpayer dollars used to maintain the fields, and it's an expensive operation maintaining 4 baseball fields.
So, Dennis, let me ask you, I know that there's a lawsuit that's been brought by some of the Bernards Township residents who are seeking to cancel the lease at the current baseball complex. Tell us about that.
I want to defer to Kevin on that, Jim. Sorry.
That's okay.
Sure. I'll handle that question, I guess. So, yeah, over the course of 2023, our lease is due to expire in May of 2024. And over the course of last year, we worked with Bernards Township to renegotiate the lease to extend it and make some minor modifications. That was approved by an ordinance in December of last year. And then we learned on January 26th that homeowners of 8 residences that are either directly across the street or close to our complex filed a lawsuit seeking to, in essence, invalidate that ordinance and cancel the lease.
Now, what would that mean for the future of the Ridge Baseball Club organization? Would it have to shut down? What does this all entail?
Yeah, we're still trying to work through those issues, Jim. It's brand new to us, and we have had to go and retain counsel and do all those sorts of things that you do when you're sued. As a nonprofit organization, that is run by volunteers. Dennis and I are both volunteers. We have full-time day jobs, and it's taken a lot of our time and energy. But we are dedicated to the children in this town and want to fight to make sure that baseball continues. But to answer your specific question, we're still working through that. But if we lose the complex, I think it'll be very difficult for us to operate on a go-forward basis.
Let me play devil's advocate for a moment. There, in my mind, and I've been heavily involved in youth and high school baseball for a number of years, there is no better sound in sport than a wood bat squaring up a baseball. It is the best sounding sport. By the same token, I don't know if there's a more annoying sound than the ping of a metal bat hitting a baseball. What adjustments did you make to the batting cages at the complex?
Yeah, so one of the complaints we heard from neighbors during 2023 as we were negotiating this lease was that the batting cages were too loud and were bothersome to them. So we worked with a sound engineer and various vendors, and as part of the renewed lease that was approved, we have agreed to install essentially a sound remediation wall bordering the batting cage on the street side that should help to reduce or eliminate that ping, as you will, that comes from those batting cages.
Yeah, I
and,
talked to-
and that's a significant cost to, again, a volunteer run nonprofit. This is a 5-figure expense, let's say.
And what adjustments did you make to the lights? I understand you did a pilot program this past fall, if I'm not correct. What were the results of that?
Yeah, so over the past few years, and I think your listeners who have kids in youth sports know that whereas 20 years ago baseball was a spring sport, football was a fall sport, soccer was a fall sport, whatever it may be. The sports arena has changed, and people, parents, and kids are looking to play sports in multiple seasons. And we were getting a big demand, and we have a big demand for a fall recreational baseball program that allows the kids in our town to play in a rec program in the fall. Unfortunately, the lease entered in 2004 did not allow lights to be used in the fall. The lights had to stop being used in early August. So when we approached the town, one of our requests was to use lights in the fall. And in response, there were neighbor objections who were asking to slow down the process. And to their credit, our township officials, our township committee, saw some merit in that and said, let's run a pilot program. Let's use the lights this fall, see what happens when the leaves come down off the trees, see how the lights potentially impact neighbors. And so that, Ridge Baseball Club can do due diligence, and we, the township committee, can do our due diligence to see if this makes sense. So this fall, we ran a very successful rec program. We had a lot of kids playing out there and playing at night, and we used the lights as needed, and we received no complaints. And when it came back to the township committee in December, the comments from the elected officials was that they did their due diligence. And they agreed that the light impact, if any, was outweighed by the benefit to the community of having fall baseball.
I should point out for our listeners who aren't familiar with this complex that it's not a multi-sport complex. It's baseball or softball, I guess, specific, correct?
It's baseball specific, correct. And it is being a coach as well, I go to all sorts of towns and coach my sons. And there are baseball fields that are smack dab in the middle of a neighborhood, houses on all sides and like that. Our complex is on a 4-lane road that is backed by the township sewerage facility. To one side is the township's one of the township's first aid squads buildings. Across the 4-lane road, there are houses who are the neighbors who have filed this lawsuit.
I'll play devil's advocate with one more issue here. And again, I've been there, I've coached there, and I know that parking can be a little difficult. What can you do about the parking situation there? Because I believe that's one of the residents' issues that they have with the complex.
Yeah, so they raised parking has been an issue. We have limited space to park, and we have taken a number of steps over the past few years to try to help alleviate that. And really, the biggest thing when it comes to parking is scheduling. When we properly schedule games and allow for sufficient time in between games, there are very few parking issues. When games are scheduled back to back to back, so you have the 8 teams that are playing, plus the next 8 teams are showing up to get warmed up. That's when the parking issues become a concern. And, since I became president of the league in 2020, in late 2020, that is something we have focused on, is making sure that we adjust our schedules properly to maximize the ability of cars to come and go, and to make best use of our parking lots.
And for WDHA and MTR listeners who want to learn more about this, where can they go?
So on our website, www.ridgebaseballclub.com, we have some information about the lawsuit. We have a statement that we have put out on the lawsuit, and we are going to continue to update that website as developments occur. This lawsuit, it was a surprise to all of us. It was filed 5 days ago, and we are still processing what it means and how best to activate community support, because just yesterday we notified our members of the lawsuit, and the emails, calls, texts of support I have been getting have been fantastic, and people are asking, what can I do? And unfortunately, at this point, my answer is, thank you for your support. We're still working through that, right? We don't know what we can do, but we are going to make sure that our great elected officials who have been very supportive of us know that this township supports us, and we are going to make sure that the plaintiffs understand that their neighbors, their township, do not support it. And just as an aside, one I guess to me interesting aside here is that the 5 of the 8 houses that are suing us are in a brand new development that was built. The houses are still being built. So we've been there for 50 years. They're coming in and making and raising these issues. Some of those homeowners, to my understanding, don't even live there yet. Their houses are still under construction in that neighborhood. So these are people who don't even yet necessarily live there, who haven't even experienced what it is to live there, that are raising these issues. And I think that's frustrating on a lot of levels. That these homeowners who had built multi-million-dollar houses across the street from the complex are taking actions that I really think, and I'm not exaggerating, but I really think have the possibility of impacting the children in this community for years and years in a very, very negative way.
Well, it's definitely something that we will keep an eye on. Dennis Wilson, Kevin Larner, thank you very much for joining us here this morning on Jersey Magazine. I appreciate your time.
Jim, thanks, and I appreciate you taking interest in the story.